Fad diet or fraud diet? With a slender figure being the societally accepted standard of beauty, people have been using a variety of shortcuts to get that slim shape, whether it be harmful medication or risky surgeries. But the most harmful of all has to be the fad diet. Today I'm here to speak about one diet in particular, the Mayo Clinic Grapefruit diet, which, contrary to the name, has no relations to the hospital of the same name. This is a 2-week program which has a very restricted and limited diet. It is a low carbohydrate diet which restricts carbohydrates from the diet in the form of starches and sugars. For breakfast, participants are allowed 2 eggs and 2 slices of bacon accompanied by grapefruit or grapefruit juice. For lunch, they are allowed any choice of meat accompanied by salad. And for dinner, they are allowed something similar to lunch, but the salad is replaced with vegetables. Then for an optional nighttime snack, they are allowed a glass of milk or tomato juice. After 2 weeks of following the rules of the diet strictly, they're allowed a few days to rest, and they can start another program if they wish to lose more weight. Now, to understand the success of this diet, first we must cement our understanding of fat metabolism. This is a low carbohydrate, high fat diet. Its main claim is that without carbohydrates, the glycogen stores in the body will be depleted, and the body will have to find an alternative energy source from fat metabolism or lipolysis. So fat metabolism happens like this. Fat is stored as triglyceride in the adipocyte cells of the adipose tissues of our bodies. So for fat to be metabolized, the triglycerides are hydrolyzed into 3 fatty acids and a glycerol. The fatty acids enter the blood by binding to a protein that's carried in the blood and takes it to the cell in need. Then when at the mitochondria of the cell, a process known as beta oxidation takes place, converting the fatty acid to acetyl-CoA, which enters the Krebs cycle to ultimately form ATP and energy. Then the glycerol, on the other hand, undergoes gluconeogenesis in the liver, or is used as 3-PG, as we know as 3-phosphoglycerate, and this is an intermediate product in the glycolysis, which is the first step of cellular respiration, that forms pyruvates and small amounts of ATP. So in theory, the diet makes sense. The low carbohydrate content stops the metabolic pathway of glycolysis in favor of lipolysis to cause increased burning of fat storages in order to lose weight quickly. So, while the high fat content provides increased fat burning hormones such as adiponectin, and the body, more specifically the brain, gains all the glucose it needs from the gluconeogenesis in the liver and conversion of fatty acids to acetyl-CoA. Okay, yes. So now, how does grapefruit come into things? Well, grapefruit is actually said to help you lose weight because it reduces the insulin levels in the body. So what does insulin do? Insulin is a hormone that inhibits the enzyme that hydrolyzes triglycerides in the body, as well as stimulating the formation of glycogen, which when saturated makes excess glucose stored as fat. So if reduced insulin will mean that less inhibiting the enzyme that hydrolyzes fats, which means more fats are hydrolyzed and more weight is lost. So overall, this may seem like a great diet, especially since it allows you to lose up to 10 pounds in 2 weeks, which is basically a pound a day. We should all remember, though, that this is a fad diet and it's not as sustainable as regular diet and exercise. Firstly, the plan supports a daily caloric intake of 800 calories, which is less than the daily recommended 1,200 to lose weight. Also, these calories are supposed to come from all the food groups and not just fats and proteins. Yes. So the diet will provide weight loss in the short term, but you see the diet provides 150 grams, less than 150 grams of calories, which is what's recommended for carbohydrates. So in the short term, this causes a variety of side effects, such as extreme tiredness, constipation, gastrointestinal distress, low energy levels, disorientation, and decreased mental sharpness. And the glucose deprivation sets off a process known as ketosis. This is when the alternative breakdown of fats causes substances known as ketones to build up in the brain, leading to the short-term effects that we have discussed. And also, since the body tissues are being deprived of their primary source of energy, this impedes their natural functions. So the long-term effects of a high-fat diet include slower metabolism because of the process of ketosis, because the body can't carry out ketosis for long periods of time. It wears away the body's muscle tissues, meaning metabolism occurs at a slower rate. Because muscle cells carry out metabolism because they utilize ATP to provide the energy needed for muscle contractions that cause movement. Yes. This obviously makes it more difficult to lose weight. And since the diet is nutritionally deficient, although it includes vegetables being eaten limitlessly, these are non-starchy vegetables, which means that they are deficient in dietary fibers, leading to things such as constipation or other gastrointestinal implications. Yes. Also, since the diet doesn't emphasize fruits and whole grains, in the long term, essential vitamins such as vitamins and fibers will be lacking. This can lead to a variety of deficiencies, such as anemia, which is fatigue, osteoporosis, brittle bones, or even a less efficient immune system. And also, since the diet regulates the amount of dairy products you can consume, you also be deficient in calcium and vitamin D, meaning you can get osteoporosis, again, brittle bones, rickets, soft bones, or hypocalcemia, which leads to seizures and memory loss. Very scary things. Very scary things. Yes. But then an advantage of this diet, however, is that it provides participants with a lot of freedom, which allows the diet to feel less binding and restricting. However, this can be very detrimental, because since the diet doesn't advise any particular way to cook the meats, they can be high in unsaturated artery clogging fats. This occurs when the fat deposit on the inner lining of the arteries, narrowing the pathway, meaning that the heart has to pump harder to allow the blood to flow through these narrowed pathways, meaning that a lot of stress is put on the heart. Also, the high cholesterol levels leads to an increased risk of heart disease. Yes. The diet also doesn't recommend regular diet or exercise to maintain their weight and stay healthy. And additionally, this diet cannot be used sustainably for weight loss because a process known as starvation mode kicks off in the body, where after losing weight for long periods of time, the body will, after the program's finished, the body will convert any carbohydrates eaten by the person straight to fat, meaning it will counter all weight loss that has been achieved. So, ultimately, this diet is not a suitable option for weight loss. It poses too great a threat to the participant's overall health and is not a long-term weight loss option. Regular diet and exercise will always yield better lifelong results. So in the battle of weight loss and fitness, there are many tools at your disposal. The Mayo Clinic Grapefruit diet may be considered a fad diet, but I deem it a fraud diet.